Competition in India's electric scooter market is fierce, and that means the customer has loads of choices, especially in the family electric scooter segment. That segment grew at the start of this year with the launch of the Ather Rizta, but now there's a new entrant from another manufacturer that wants to get real serious about the electric two-wheeler business. With me are the Ampere Nexus and the Ather Rizta, and I'm here to tell you today which of these two is the better family electric scooter. My name is Amaan Ahmed. You're watching Carandbike, and this is our detailed comparison of Ather and Ampere's family scooters. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to Carandbike so you're notified every time we upload a new video, and make sure you hit that bell icon so you know whenever a new video goes out. Now let's get on these scooters and see what they're all about. In terms of design and styling, both scooters take a rather safe approach because, as you can probably tell, they're not meant to stand out in a crowd. They're meant to blend in. Both scooters look smart, but they are subdued. The Nexus is actually a step forward for Ampere, considering most of its previous scooters looked drab. But for Ather with the Rizta, it's a complete departure because the 450 series is meant to be sharp and edgy and sporty, and this one has a more rounded look, more neutral look, which will be preferred by a lot of people. The color on the Nexus looks pretty refreshing, but I like the fact that Ather offers dual tone paint shades on the Rizta, which helps break the monotony. And these scooters have their own styling cues. The Nexus has flip out pillion foot pegs, while the Riztas extend from the footboard. In terms of visual presence, the Rizta actually looks like the bigger scooter, even though it's the Nexus which has the longer wheelbase, and it also enjoys a marginal benefit when it comes to ground clearance. Both scooters run on 12-inch wheels. Both have a telescopic fork at the front. The difference is at the rear, where the Rizta has a monoshock while the Nexus employs dual rear shock absorbers. So that's about it in terms of appearance. I personally prefer the Rizta, but let me know which of these two do you prefer in terms of design and styling in the comments. Now let's sit on these scooters and see what they're like. Both scooters are designed to make accessibility easy for every member of the family, and to that end, the Nexus has the friendlier seat height. This one is 765 millimeters. The Rizta's seat is a little bit higher at 780 millimeters, but it's not that much of a difference. Only really short riders will be able to feel a noticeable difference. Other than that, the riding position is fairly upright. The seat is a big talking point with the Rizta because it is incredibly long at 900 millimeters in length. In comparison, the Nexus's seat is shorter at 712 millimeters, and it just doesn't have the size or the heft to be able to accommodate a pillion and their luggage with ease. On top of that, the Rizta's seat feels more comfortable to be in for a long period of time. The Nexus, in comparison, doesn't feel quite as comfortable. And there is also a pillion backrest on the Rizta, which is something that is missing on the Nexus. Talking about the controls on the Rizta, they fall fairly easily to hand because they're all in the places that you expect to find them. On the Nexus, the buttons are made to look a lot more premium, but they don't feel as premium in operation. They feel a little vague, and sometimes you get a few false triggers as well. And everything on the Rizta feels much better put together than on the Nexus.
One thing that's missing from the Rizta is a touchscreen, which is present on the Nexus. The 7-inch TFT on the Nexus is neat and legible, and the same can be said about the Rizta's non-touch display. However, despite offering the convenience of touch functionality, the Nexus's display isn't the snappiest to use and is fairly limited in terms of the features on offer. The Rizta, when specified with the Pro Pack, brings far more features, and while it isn't the friendliest to use with the joystick, it is far nicer and more mature in operation. Also different on the two scooters is the method to engage reverse mode. On the Rizta, you hit the switch on the right cube once, and the scooter can easily be guided forwards or backwards into a parking spot by applying light throttle input. On the Nexus, you need to press and hold down the reverse switch while turning the throttle. This can get annoying, especially after experiencing how seamlessly reverse mode works on the Rizta.
In terms of practicality is where the Rizta clearly edges ahead of the Nexus. As you can see, the Nexus has decent underseat storage, but it is not the biggest underseat storage compartment we've seen on electric scooters so far. You do get a front storage compartment. It's not that big, you can store a few odds and ends over there, and you get a singular bag hook. On the Rizta, you have two hooks, one at the front and one just below where you sit. There is no front storage compartment, but you won't need one because the underseat storage of the Rizta is massive. It is partitioned, so you can keep maybe a cleaning cloth in the smaller section of the underseat storage, and then of course you can use this for your shopping. There's also a boot light present over here, as is a wireless charging option for Ather's Halo helmet, which you can know more about by clicking on this pop-out banner. Additionally, for more practicality, Ather offers a trunk organizer, which is a cleverly designed bag which you can just stow into the underseat storage, as well as a frunk. These are both accessories, but adding the frunk gives you up to 56 liters of storage, which is something that the Nexus absolutely cannot match.
On paper, the two electric scooters are closely matched when it comes to power output, but out on the road, there is a vast difference in how the two scooters behave. The Nexus has three main ride modes, and in Eco, it has sufficient power to cut through city traffic. However, it is limited to a top speed of 45 km per hour in this mode, and it struggles on open stretches. To go faster, you can switch to city or to power mode, which unlocks the Nexus's full potential and propels it to a top speed of well over 80 km an hour. But what will hold you back is how quickly range starts to drop in these modes. With regenerative braking absent from our test scooter, the Nexus was consistently bleeding range, and with no clarity on where I could charge it, I had to ride it mostly in Eco to conserve range. During my time with it, I could only manage a range of around 75 km even with a gentle right hand. The Rizta in Zip mode, which by the way is the only ride mode on the standard scooter, does not limit top speed. So, going from tight jams to free-flowing highways feels far more organic on the Rizta, which is as at ease at low speeds as it is going faster. It's not quick. By Ather standards, the Rizta is only gentle when it comes to acceleration, but it's never found lacking. Smart Eco, a ride mode added with the Pro Pack, modulates power delivery to ensure you cover the range promised in that mode. And the Rizta Z, with the bigger 3.7 kWh battery, easily covers more than 100 km in real-world use. The 2.9 kWh version, which we sampled at the Rizta Media Ride earlier this year, would be closer to the Nexus in terms of range, but for those who need the extra range, the Rizta at least offers an option, something you do not get with the Nexus. The biggest differences though surface in the riding dynamics department. The Nexus is reasonably stable at high speeds, but the Rizta has a reassuring solidity to it when you go faster. The Ather is agile, displaying an underlying confidence when tackling corners at speed, and is yet composed over broken road surfaces, dealing with undulations and imperfections with the kind of finesse that is simply missing from the Nexus. The Nexus has a hard edge to its ride quality, which is in stark contrast to the supple ride quality of the Rizta, which you will appreciate after riding both scooters over a long duration. Braking power on both scooters is sufficient, with a front disc brake present on both models.
The Nexus is proof that Ampere is finally taking India's electric scooter market quite seriously. This on the whole is a decent package and is definitely 2 steps ahead of anything else that Ampere has produced so far. That being said, its overall quality levels, lack of comfort and relatively low range are its main limitations, and these are even further amplified when you compare it to something like an Ather Rizta. You see, the Rizta feels far more mature and well-rounded in every respect, be it in terms of build quality, performance, ride and handling, or even its focus on practicality. The Rizta is just a more grown-up scooter and feels much nicer to ride. Though you have to remember that for the Rizta, you do end up paying a premium. As tested, this Rizta Z with the 3.7 kWh battery and its Pro Pack costs 1,66,000 rupees. The Nexus ST as tested is 1,20,000 rupees. That's a gap of 46,000 rupees, and that gap will narrow once the introductory offer for this ends and its price rises by 10,000 rupees. That being said, I have to admit that even though you shell out a premium for the Rizta, it feels worth it because on the whole just feels far more cohesive. I have to say that some of the features in the Pro Pack I believe should be standard on the Rizta Z. You shouldn't have to shell out a premium for those. What you must also remember, and this I think is the clincher, is the fact that Ather has a full-fledged and fully functional public charging network. You see, Today, we were struggling to find a charging spot for the Nexus ST. Ampere does not have dealerships in this part of town, and we were struggling to locate a 3-pin socket that we could use to plug this in. On the other hand, the Rizta does not face this issue. When we set out on this trip, we knew that we would find an Ather charger along the way, and that is a big relief to have, especially for a scooter that you will take out on impromptu trips with family and friends. So that's our verdict then. Between these two, if you have to pick an electric scooter, it is the Rizta. What do you make of these scooters? What do you think of the features on them? Would you like to see these manufacturers make any changes to these models? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. If you found this video informative, if you enjoyed watching it, then remember to give us the thumbs up. And if you have any feedback for us, leave it in the comments. If you know somebody who'd be interested in buying a new electric scooter, then remember to share this video with them.